Hey everyone, and welcome back to Quantum Conversations. We're always searching for new and interesting opportunities for you guys.
That's right.
Especially for those of you out there with that entrepreneurial spirit. I think a lot of people listening right now probably share the same dream, that dream of being their own boss.
Yeah.
Setting their own hours, and really building something from the ground up. And it's definitely alluring. And franchising, for a lot of people, it feels like the perfect way to get there.
Right.
Especially when you see those franchises that you can get started with for under $50,000.
It's very tempting, that turnkey business model. You're buying into a system that's established, the brand recognition, the support.
It seems like
appealing.
Yeah, a no-brainer.
For sure.
But the question is $50,000 really enough?
Right.
To get you in the door? Is it really realistic in 2024?
Yeah.
And FranchiseNews.today, they had this article recently that really kind of dove into this whole world of franchises under $50,000.
Interesting.
And it's eye-opening, to say the least.
One of the things that they talked about that really stood out to me was how they define the difference between a business opportunity and a franchise.
Okay. Yeah. Break that down for me.
So a business opportunity, think of that as a starter kit.
Okay.
You're getting the blueprints, some of the tools, but you're essentially building it yourself.
Okay.
It's more DIY,
right?
Less support. Typically a lot cheaper.
So more freedom, more risk.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, a franchise is more like buying a fully assembled car.
Got it.
You're getting a proven system, the brand recognition, the training, the ongoing support you're paying for that track record and that safety net.
Which makes sense when you think about, those big name franchises we all know.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A or Subway, those cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
To get started.
They have the proven success and the really extensive support systems that come with that price tag.
So where does that leave us with our, much more modest $50,000 budget?
Right.
Is franchising even an option at that point?
It absolutely can be.
Okay.
And the article talks about this concept called the scaling strategy, which I think is really interesting, particularly for entrepreneurs who maybe have limited capital.
I love a good strategy, so tell me more.
Okay, so the idea is to start smaller.
Okay.
You find a lower cost franchise that fits within your budget, build it up, make it successful, potentially even sell it for a profit down the line.
Okay.
Then you take those earnings and reinvest in a larger franchise.
So you're working your way up the franchise ladder.
Exactly. You're gaining experience, you're building a track record of success, and then you're using the proceeds from that first venture to fuel your ultimate goals.
I like it. That's a very practical approach.
Yeah.
You got to crawl before you can walk, right?
It really is. And it highlights the fact that even with a smaller budget, you can still work strategically towards owning that dream franchise.
So, okay, let's say we're going with that scaling strategy. What kinds of franchises can you realistically get for $50,000 or less?
So the article mentions several industries that are usually more accessible at that price point: cleaning services, childcare vending machines, home-based businesses.
Okay.
And even some low-cost retail options.
I'm noticing a theme here. They all seem to be service-oriented businesses.
Yes. And there are a few reasons why these types of franchises have lower startup costs.
Okay.
Many of them don't require a storefront, so mobile businesses or home-based operations reduce overhead significantly.
That makes sense. Yeah.
No rent or utility bills for a big space.
So less overhead means more money to invest in other areas of the business.
Exactly. And staffing is another big factor.
Yeah.
A lot of these businesses can be run with a very small team, sometimes just you and a partner, or even solo, which significantly reduces payroll costs.
So in the beginning, you might be wearing a lot of hats.
That's right.
Owner, operator, marketer, the whole shebang.
It's a lot of hands-on work, but it also allows you to be very involved in every aspect of the business.
So, okay, I'm starting to see the appeal here. Lower overhead, smaller team, less pressure. It seems like a very accessible way to kind of dip your toes into business ownership.
For sure.
Is there anything else that kind of contributes to those lower costs?
The simplicity of the business model itself.
Okay.
These franchises usually have really straightforward, easy-to-manage operations,
Okay.
which translates to lower startup and ongoing costs.
So it's not just about the initial investment. It's about keeping those day-to-day expenses manageable.
Exactly. It's all about sustainability, setting yourself up for long-term success.
And that's really important, especially for first-time business owners.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about the cost side of things. Are there any downsides to going with a franchise under $50,000?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things to consider is your time commitment.
Right.
Franchising, no matter the cost,
Yeah.
requires a significant investment of your time.
Yeah, you're building a business.
Right.
So that makes sense.
And with lower cost options, you might even find yourself more hands-on in those early stages.
So it's not just the money you're putting in.
Yeah,
It's about really rolling up your sleeves and putting in the work.
absolutely. But honestly, I see that as a positive.
Okay.
You are so intimately involved in every aspect of building your brand, and that experience is invaluable.
You're not just an owner, you're a builder.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
But speaking of support, that's another area where we need to be realistic with lower cost franchises.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I always thought one of the biggest, perks of going the franchise route was having that built-in support network.
And you're right, those big name franchises, they often have really robust support packages.
Yeah.
But with the lower cost franchises, that level of support isn't always guaranteed.
So what are you actually paying for then in those cases? Is it just the brand name?
Sometimes it's primarily the license to use the brand name and the proven system. You might get some basic training and resources,
Okay.
but you're not necessarily getting that 24/7 hand-holding experience.
So it's crucial to be informed and understand what you're getting into before you sign on that dotted line.
I couldn't agree more. Knowledge is power when it comes to franchising.
Yeah.
And that brings us to another important point. The article raised self-assessment.
Okay. All right. Let's get introspective.
Yeah.
What kind of questions should I be asking myself?
Before you even start browsing franchise brands, it's so important to define your goals and what you're looking for in a business.
Okay.
That's where a lot of people get tripped up.
Mm-hmm.
They get so excited about the idea of owning a business that they skip this crucial step.
So what are some of those key questions I should be asking myself?
Start by thinking about your current work situation.
Okay.
What do you like or dislike?
Yeah.
What are your must-haves and your deal breakers when it comes to work life? Then think about the level of involvement you want.
Okay.
Do you want to be heavily involved in the day-to-day, or are you looking for something a bit more hands-off?
Right.
Do you have a potential business partner in mind? And most importantly, what industries genuinely excite you?
So it sounds like figuring out what you want is just as important as figuring out what you can afford.
Absolutely. Choosing a franchise is a major decision, and it needs to be the right fit for your personality and your lifestyle.
Okay, that's a really good point. Now, let's say I've done all that soul searching.
Okay.
I've got my goals lined up. I'm ready to dive into some franchise options. But what about that $50,000 budget? Is that a hard limit?
That's where it gets interesting. The article highlights that having $50,000 cash on hand doesn't have to be your only option.
Okay.
There are some creative financing strategies you can explore to stretch your budget further.
I am all ears.
Okay, first off, franchisenews.today has a really helpful financial calculator on their website.
Okay.
We'll link that in the show notes.
Perfect.
But in addition to that, have you considered SBA loans?
SBA loans.
Yeah.
Those are specifically for small businesses, right?
Exactly, and they can be a fantastic way to secure funding,
Okay.
especially for first-time business owners.
That's good to know. Now, I've also heard of people using their retirement funds
Yes,
to finance a business.
you're right.
Is that a possibility?
It is. It's called a 401k rollover, and there's even a specific type called our RBS, which stands for Rollover for Business Startups.
ROBS, that sounds a little intimidating.
It can seem that way, but essentially it's a way to use your existing retirement savings to fund your new business without incurring the usual tax penalties.
That's incredibly helpful. Are there any other ways to get creative with financing?
If you own a home,
Okay.
tapping into your home equity through a loan or line of credit can also be an option.
So the takeaway here is that there might be more avenues available than you initially realized.
That's right. It's all about being resourceful and exploring all your options.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground already.
Yeah, we have.
But there's still so much more to discuss.
There really is. Finding the right franchise is just the first step in this journey.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface.
Exactly. Okay, so you're ready to take that plunge. You've done your self-assessment. You've got your budget in mind.
Yeah.
And now you're faced with that daunting task of actually finding the franchise.
Right. It's like standing at the base of this giant mountain of options, and I have no idea where to even begin.
It can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But there are resources and strategies to help you navigate that mountain.
Okay.
And one of the most valuable resources, in my opinion, is a franchise broker.
A franchise broker. Tell me more about that.
So they're like matchmakers for the franchise world.
Okay.
They have in-depth knowledge of the industry, and they connect aspiring entrepreneurs like yourself with opportunities that align with their goals and budget.
So kind of like a real estate agent, but for businesses.
That's a great analogy.
I like it.
They work with you to understand your needs, your interests, your experience, and your financial situation, and then they use that information to match you with brands that fit your profile.
That sounds incredibly helpful, especially for someone like me who's, pretty new to this whole world. But hold on, how much does it cost to work with a franchise broker?
Here's the best part. Their services are typically free for the franchisee.
Really?
They make their money from the franchisors when a deal is made.
Oh, so there's no risk involved in getting some expert advice.
Exactly. They have a wealth of knowledge and connections, and they can save you a ton of time and headaches. Plus, they're incentivized to find you the right fit.
Right.
So it's really a win-win situation.
Okay, I'm sold. So once I've connected with a broker, they've helped me narrow down some potential options.
Yeah.
What are the next steps? What should I be looking for when I'm actually evaluating different brands?
That's where due diligence comes in.
Okay.
It's all about doing your homework,
Ah.
asking the tough questions, really digging deep, and understanding the business model, the support system, and the financials before you commit.
So let's break that down. What kind of questions should I be asking about the business model itself?
First and foremost, does the business model make sense to you?
Right.
Can you see yourself running this business day in and day out? Do you understand how it generates revenue and what your role would be in the operation?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to jump into something blindly, especially if you're going to be so involved in running it.
Absolutely. Then think about the market. Is there a demand for this product or service in your area?
Okay.
What's the competition like?
So market research is key.
It's essential. You need to know that there's a customer base for your franchise or you're setting yourself up for failure.
Okay, so business model market check. What about the support system? What should I be looking for there?
So this is especially crucial for those lower cost franchises because the level of support can vary quite a bit.
Okay.
Be very clear about what's included in the franchise package. What kind of training do they provide? Is there marketing support? What about ongoing operational guidance?
So don't just assume that because you're buying a franchise, you're getting, that full-fledged support network.
Exactly. It's important to clarify those expectations up front and understand the level of support you'll be receiving.
Okay. And last but not least, let's talk about the financials. What kind of numbers should I be looking at?
Of course, you want to understand the startup costs. But don't stop there. Look at the ongoing fees, royalties, marketing fees, any other expenses you'll be responsible for.
Because those ongoing costs can really add up.
They can. And don't forget to look at the franchisor's financial track record.
Okay.
How profitable are their existing franchisees? What's their success rate?
So in essence, do your research. Don't fall in love with a brand. Make sure the numbers add up too.
Couldn't agree more. And there's a really crucial document that you need to review very carefully.
Okay.
The Franchise Disclosure Document, or FDD.
The FDD, that sounds a little intimidating.
It can be a bit dense, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But it's crucial reading. It contains a wealth of information about the franchise.
Okay.
The franchisor's background, the financial performance of existing franchises, the terms of the agreement. It's all in there.
That sounds like I might need a lawyer to decipher all that.
Actually, this is another area where a franchise broker can be incredibly helpful.
Okay.
They can guide you through the key points of the FDD, make sure you're not missing anything important, and answer any questions you have about the legalities and the financials.
So it's like having a financial advisor and a legal expert all rolled into one.
Precisely. They're there to help you understand the complexities and make an informed decision.
This is so helpful. I'm feeling much more equipped now to tackle this whole process.
Good.
It's amazing how much goes into it.
Yeah.
But I think that's all the time we have for today.
Time flies when you're talking franchising.
It really does. And we've covered so much ground already, from understanding, the basics to exploring financing options.
Right.
And even delving into the importance of due diligence.
It's been a journey.
Before we wrap things up, I did want to touch on one more thing, that the article mentioned the potential tax benefits of owning a franchise.
Oh, yeah. Taxes, they might not be the most glamorous topic.
Right.
But they are a crucial part of running a successful business. And, knowing how to leverage deductions can really make a difference for your bottom line.
Yeah. So tell me about those. What kind of tax advantages can franchise owners potentially, take advantage of?
Well, for starters, you can deduct a lot of your ordinary business expenses. Things like advertising costs, supplies, travel expenses related to the business professional fees. even a portion of your home office if you're working from home.
So all those everyday costs of running the business
Yeah.
can actually help you save on taxes. That's pretty cool.
It is. It's one of the perks of being a business owner. And then there are also deductions specifically for startup costs.
Okay.
So you can deduct a portion of those initial expenses you incur to get your franchise up and running, things like legal fees, marketing costs, training expenses.
Makes sense, especially when you're first starting out.
Right. And let's not forget about depreciation.
Okay.
If you purchase equipment for your franchise, you can deduct a portion of its value each year as it depreciates.
So even the wear and tear on your equipment can work in your favor.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the tax code and taking advantage of the deductions that are available to you. And if you're structured as an S corporation or a partnership, you might even be able to take advantage of pass-through taxation.
Pass-through taxation, that sounds a little complicated.
It can be, but in simple terms, it means that the business's profits and losses are passed through to your personal tax return.
Okay.
Which can help you avoid being taxed twice on the same income.
Got it. So essentially, owning a franchise can offer some real tax advantages.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to be strategic and, get guidance from a tax professional to make sure you're doing everything right.
I couldn't agree more. It's always wise to consult with an expert, especially when it comes to taxes. And the great thing is many franchise brokers are well-versed in these tax benefits.
Okay.
And can really help you understand the potential savings.
So it's like having a built-in financial advisor.
Exactly.
As you're going through this whole process.
Yeah, they can help you see the bigger picture and make informed decisions that benefit your business and your personal finances.
This has been incredibly enlightening. Yeah. I feel like we've covered so much ground today. We've talked about the pros and cons of those lower cost franchises.
Yeah.
We talked about the importance of due diligence, financing strategies, and even delved into, these tax deductions.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And I hope our listeners are walking away feeling empowered and informed. I mean, owning a franchise, even on a limited budget, is a real possibility.
It is, with the right knowledge, strategy, and support. It's an achievable dream.
Absolutely. And for those listeners who are specifically looking for that low-cost franchise opportunity.
Yes.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap things up for today. A huge thank you to all of our listeners for joining us. And don't forget to check out the show notes for all those resources we mentioned.
Yes.
Including a link to Quantum Franchise Group's website, www.letsbeginabiz.com.
Until next time, keep those entrepreneurial dreams alive.
And remember, even if you're starting small, you can still achieve big things.